Hello and welcome to Diary of an Unschooler, the space where we explore the world of deschooling, unschooling, and natural learning. I'm your host, Leah McDermott, and I'm here to guide you through the fascinating journey of alternative education and meaningful learning experiences with your children. Thank you to all of our listeners for joining us once again, or if you're new here, a warm welcome to you. Let's dive into today's topic. Hey there, friends, it's Leah here, and today's topic is one that I think is probably one of my most asked questions by followers and parents that I talk to. It is a topic that I have seen come up from every age of the child, every experience. This is something I personally have dealt with both as a homeschooled child myself and now as a parent who is unschooling her children. So I'm really excited to talk about this and hopefully give you some tips to navigate this journey, this experience. And this topic is, what do I do? What do I say? How do I react when my homeschooled or unschooled child tells me they want to go to school? Now, I'm going to preface this. I have 3 tips for you, but I'm going to preface this with something, and that is that every family is unique and you need to make the choice that's best for you. You might be in a position to send your child back to school and let them try it out. You might have just recently pulled them out, and so it's easy to send them back. You might live in an area where you have a fantastic in-person alternative school that you can try out if they just want that in-person experience. Obviously, in 10 to 15 minutes, I can't give advice to every single family and their unique situation. So, again, make the choice that's best for you. But this episode is going to specifically discuss how to approach this discussion with your child if returning them to school is not on the table, if it's not an option for you and your family for whatever reason that might be. That might be you recognize that the trauma that your child has experienced there before is not worth going back to. You live in an area where you don't have alternative options, or the public schools are really extra terrible and you do not want your child there. Maybe you are a world schooling family that travels very often. Maybe your schedule doesn't work for that. If for whatever reason returning to school or trying out school is not an option for you, or just, you personally have a conviction that that's not something you're going to do, whatever that reason, that is what we're going to focus on here. I want to approach this from the perspective that the end result or the end answer there is most likely going to be a no answer, but how do you navigate that with your child? So the first tip, and by far the most important one, is don't take it personally. Your child expressing that they want to go to school, go back to school, try school, it is not an indictment on your parenting choices or your education choices. It is not them subtly telling you they hate being homeschooled, they don't like the way you've done things. This isn't about you. This is about your child, and it is about the emotion and the feeling that they're having. And I want you to come at this with an understanding that the fact that they're sharing that with you, it means that they trust you enough to help them process those feelings. So even if it's coming out in a way that feels like they're being judgmental, remember, again, most of our children, especially if this is a teenager who is going through so many stages of development right now where they don't necessarily have control over all of their emotions. They don't know how to word their feelings. This isn't about you. This is about them. Them talking to you about it at all is a good thing, a positive thing. It means they need your help. They want your help. And it doesn't really matter what the answer is on the other side. It matters that you're willing to talk to them about it and listen. So starting right away with that, releasing that, taking it personally, because it isn't about you, okay? This is about them. Then we want to get into the why. So depending on their age and past experiences, usually we find that this comes out of something related to peer pressure or just knowing that their experience is different. It doesn't matter if in hindsight or in the bigger picture their experience is better, or it's just that feeling of being different. If they have a lot of friends that go, often it's because they see an experience in the media. We have to remember that even in this time where more and more children are being homeschooled, unschooling movement is taking hold, and cyber school is a big thing. Even though almost every child at this point has had the experience of learning at home. The mainstream view is still the public school experience. So when your children watch TV, when they consume social media content, when they go to the movies, anything like that, they're going to see that experience that they don't have. Theirs is not going to be the most representative. Most of the shows on TV don't represent unschooled kids, world schooled kids. It's showing kids that are going to public school because that's the mainstream experience. So for whatever reason, right, your kid, it might just be that they desire a different experience. And that leads me to the point number 2, which is that you need to listen. This isn't time for you to just dive right in and explain why you made the choices that you made and why they can't do this. Listen. Start right away with, okay, I hear you. I understand what you're saying. Why do you feel that way? Because regardless of their age, whether they're 7 years old, 6 years old, or 13, 15, 16 years old, if they've expressed to you that they want to go to school, they can express to you what those feelings are, especially if you didn't lean in with judgment first, right? They can tell you what they feel like they are missing right now at home, or what they think they're going to experience in school that's different from what they're experiencing at home. And this is going to give you great insight into some changes that you can make to accommodate what those feelings of lack are for your child, even if they're not, or even if they're the things you're trying to get away from, right? So for younger children, that often is related to something that they've seen on TV or they're hearing other kids talk about, especially if they've never been to school. They have no context of what they are, what the day-to-day is like. So often with our younger kids, this is looking at things like, I want to ride a bus. I want to eat from a lunchbox. I want to carry and pack my backpack. I want to go to recess. I want to have a desk, right? It's usually something very small that they've heard other kids talking about or they've seen represented in the media, and they realize that that's not the experience they have, and they want to experience that. And so that's usually a very easy thing to implement into your routine, or something you can experience together. You can easily go out and put a desk together for your child, right? And that doesn't make you a failed unschooler to get your child a school desk at the house, right? If that's what's motivating them and exciting them right now to learn and try new things, do it. Get them a backpack, even if it's just something they can carry to the park, or, you could go learn outside for a few days. Pack them a lunchbox, schedule a trip where you can ride a bus somewhere, right? Plan a specific quote unquote recess time into your day. There's very easy ways to implement those little pieces for your younger children asking this question that often is just going to handle that emotion of feeling left out right away. Now, for your older children, middle school, high school, usually this is a peer-related thing. Almost always it's peer-related, right? They want to be the same as their friends that go to school. They desire that experience of being in a high school. It's obviously very, very represented in media in general, social media and trends and YouTube and television and movies, right? That experience of high school, even though mostly what they're showing is lockers and lunch, right? Not the mundane day-to-day tasks and sitting, but especially if you have a child who's never been in that situation before, or maybe you pulled them out when they were younger and they haven't tried high school, missing something is what they're probably feeling, right? It might be that they desire to be a part of school sports that their friends play on, or school clubs, after school activities that their friends get to go on. And sometimes it's just that even if you have that conversation with your older child and explain how much most kids hate school and they don't want to be there, it could just be that they want to experience the hatred of the school day with their friends. They want to groan when their alarm goes off and beg for another hour of sleep. They are desiring the experience. And that is something to listen to, take seriously, and understand. And this might be a little harder to accommodate than the younger kid experiences that they're missing out on, like sitting at a desk or having recess. But it's mostly just about being open here and listening, because a lot of the times just letting them talk it out helps them understand that they're really just feeling like they're missing an experience that they probably wouldn't even want once they got there. But again, share, let them share. And for your older kids, this is also a great opportunity to share your reasoning for homeschooling with them. Even if the answer is going to be, no, we're not doing that, or I don't feel comfortable putting you in that environment, this gives you the opportunity to have listened, connect with them, and then communicate your reasons. Here's the reason that we made this decision as a family. Here are my thoughts on it. This is why I'm making these choices. Let's talk about this, whatever, right? That communication and that connection is what really matters here more than the end choice. Which brings me to number 3, which I know I said I wouldn't talk about going back to school, but I want to address this one thing. Point number 3 is being very honest and open with your child and preparing them. I have seen this more times than you think, even though you might, once I say this, might think, of course, I wouldn't do that. I would never do that to my child. This happens very often, especially for parents who take it personally from the beginning. Please don't return a child to school or start them in school if you are only doing that with the desire for them to have a miserable experience and desire to come home. And I know that sounds like, of course I wouldn't do that, but subconsciously, so many parents do this. Like, fine, you don't like the way this is going, you aren't happy here, go see how terrible it is. And then you'll be wanting to crawl back. The problem with that, first, of course, is you took it personally. You didn't listen and communicate. You probably made rash decisions in doing that were very emotional and not modeling conversation and communication and connection. But also, and on a deeper level, even a small amount of time in a school can create traumas for a child that are not worth having to undo later if you can avoid it. So if you decide with your child together that school is something they could try, or they want to try it so badly that you are willing to let them experience that, please make sure your child is prepared for this, especially if you have always unschooled or have been in this unschooling, very loose homeschooling structure where they have not had rigid schedules. They have not had a heavy workload, academic workload. You've done all like child-led learning. You haven't ever used a very rigid curriculum. If that has not been their experience, you're throwing them to the wolves by just dumping them into it. So I definitely encourage you, if this is something, and actually this is a great thing to do, even if you know your answer is going to be no later, this could be a nice bridge between, I hear what you're saying, you want to try this experience. Because of the way we've chosen to live and learn together, I don't feel that you would be prepared for what that experience is going to be like. And that's not a negative or a positive thing. It's just a reality. If I was going to start a new job, no job would just throw me on to the full job experience on the first day. There would be several days or weeks, sometimes even months of training to prepare me for that job. And that is true for this experience. If it is something your child has never done before, or it's been many years since they have, you need to work together to prepare them for that experience. Keep up and keep a schedule that is similar to a school schedule, so they understand what that's going to be like. So they recognize and retrain their bodies. What time do I need to go to bed so I can wake up at this time? Bring in curriculum. Every public school district lists the curriculum that they use on their website. They have to. So go get those books. You can buy them usually very cheap online. Get them for your child and bring them home and say, we're going to look at these together. We're going to spend time doing this every day for a while, exactly like they would in a public school classroom, so that you understand what the workload is like, what the curriculum differences are like. Doing this, you might even find that in this period, there is an awareness for your child that maybe this isn't really the experience that I wanted. So you might actually get what you were hoping for without ever having to go through the process of sending them in. And Best or worst case scenario, they enjoy the challenge for a while. You've prepared. Maybe they want to try it out and they can do that successfully without adding on to some educational trauma. So again, to recap, if your child is asking you to return to school, number one, do not take it personally. Number two, listen before you speak. Number three, be honest and open with them in your communication. And if it is something you decide to try together or you just want to experience it more at home, prepare them for that transition. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Diary of an Unschooler. I hope today's discussion provided valuable insights for you into the world of unschooling. Remember to subscribe and leave us a review if you found this episode helpful. I record multiple episodes on a variety of topics every week, so make sure to come back soon to dive into more about unschooling and natural learning. A big thank you to our team for making this episode possible. I'm Leah McDermott, reminding you to embrace the journey of learning naturally with your children. Until next time, take care, and remember, all life is learning.